Hey everyone, my name is Scott. I'm a music teacher and I teach chorus and general music. I want to show you an elementary school chorus hack that I've been using successfully, but what I found today is going to make it so much easier. So you know how you've got your chorus together and like you're working in two parts. And part one, you're working on part one and the chorus gets it and they sound great, and then you work on part two and the chorus gets it and you sound great, and then as the weeks go by you go, hey, let's put part one and part two together now, and it falls apart, right? Absolutely falls apart. They're having a hard time hearing their own part because you introduce this other part, and that other part has such a strong gravity to it, especially if one's the melody, that the people who are not on the melody are just getting sucked into the melody section, right? So obviously, if you have some really strong singers in your section, that helps because they have somebody that they can anchor onto. So I have been recording in GarageBand. I'll show you what I do really quick here in a second. I've been recording in GarageBand, panning part one to the left ear, panning part two to the right ear, and then hooking up speakers in the auditorium. So not only are they hearing the accompaniment, but they're also hearing part one over here and part two over here. Great. Right? It works fairly well, but it's a lot of setup, and the speakers are huge and they take up a lot of space, and they're, again, difficult to set up. So this weekend, I found these. Take a look. $10 clearance, $10 at Walmart, and they are Bluetooth speakers. But here's the important part. In this, my jaw literally, when I heard them do this, they have true wireless stereo, which means if you buy two of them, and I did, that when you connect it, it's going to put left into one speaker, right into the other. I want to show you what that's like. So I have a song here in GarageBand. It's just stock song. Listen. Okay, so let's record. This is part one. This is part one, I'm singing. This is part one. I know. Awesome, right? So here, I'll even label that part one so that you can see what's going on. Part one. So now I have part two here. I'm going to record part two. So let's do that. I'm going to mute part one for a second. So this is part two. This is part two, I'm singing just like Piano Man. So we have part one, we have part two. Let's hear them together. This is part one. So this is part two. This is part one, I'm singing just like Piano Man. So we have two parts there, and normally I wouldn't let the actual song bleed into it like this, but for this video, I don't care. So now, over here on this knob, this is the panning. We are going to pan part one all the way to the left. We're going to pan part two all the way to the right. So I'm panning part one here. All I did was I click the knob and drag down. I'm going to click this knob and drag up. So now, can you see it there? We have left part one, right part two. You're not going to hear a huge difference unless you're wearing headphones right now. Then if I export this in stereo, you should hear part one over here, part two over here. Right? All right. Let's take a look at these speakers. So these speakers, they're waterproof. They say they get like 10 hours. They're water resistant. So let's turn this one on. All right. So now these two speakers are connected and I paired them together. Now watch this. This is part one. So this is part two. This is part one, I'm singing just like Piano Man. Can you tell? Okay. Here's part one. All coming out of part one over here. This is part one. So this is part two. Part one. This is part one, I'm singing part two. Just like Piano Man. This is how simple it is. This is just me walking down to chorus with my speakers, right? Something else in my hand, ready to go. Part 1 and part 2. Again, I'll put the link for these particular speakers, but they were cheaper just by walking to Walmart. So I don't know if you want to just check your local Walmart and see if yours are on clearance too. And
Power off.
or just look for things that say that they are actual stereo wireless. TWS, true wireless stereo, so that you can connect it, have 2 of them. I mean, come on, $10 a piece, $20 for this. I'm super excited. I hope this helps.